All right. It's 3 o'clock. Let's call the October 9th, 2024 meeting of the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee meeting to order. Sarah, could you do a roll call, please?
Danny Alvis.
Here.
Larry Klontz.
Here.
Linda Davis.
Here.
Joshua Gillum. Tom Kern. Robbie Palmer.
Here.
And Sybil Von Trent. We have 5 members present, constituting a quorum.
All right. Let the record reflect that we can deal with business today. We have a quorum. This is the first meeting of this year for this committee. So at the first meeting of every year for each committee, we have to organize the committee, which means we have to elect a chairman, a vice chairman, and a secretary. So at this time, I'll entertain motions for chairman.
I make a motion we let Robbie.
Second.
I make a motion we let you.
Yeah.
I believe more women should be chairman, and I don't believe that you should be the chairman of more than 2 committees. That's just my opinion. So that's why I was nominating you.
Who was the second on that?
Oh, Alice, boy.
Alvis. And then Trent nominated Davis.
All right.
Is there a second?
Is there a second on Linda shaking her head? She doesn't want it.
Speak up.
Said she doesn't want it.
Are you chairman of any committees?
No,
Well, then you need that responsibility.
no, I'm sorry.
Do we have a nomination?
We've got Robbie Palmer nominated second.
Okay, I thought you did, but
All right. Is there a motion nomination cease?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I
You
second.
moved and you,
I second it.
all right, Linda seconded it. So, all in favor of Robbie Palmer continuing to be chairman of the Solid Waste Committee, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, pass unanimously. Mr. Chairman, it's now your meeting.
Thank you, guys. All right, we got any nomination for vice chairman?
Who's the current vice chair, or was the current?
This could go up to man, I think.
Josh.
Yeah. Since he's not here, I nominate him.
You always go to the first meetings where they're nominated.
Commissioner, I would nominate Josh Gillum to be vice chair. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Klontz. Any other further nominations? All in favor of, do I have a motion to nomination cease?
So
Make a motion.
Motion by Linda, second by Commissioner Allen. All in favor of Josh Gillum remaining vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, all opposed likewise. Josh is going to be vice chair. Now we need to elect a secretary. Do you have any nominations for secretary? Sybil, you want to do
No,
that?
sir.
Oh, heck, I'll volunteer.
Okay. Commissioner
Somebody
Klontz.
second.
I guess you don't want to put that. Danny is nominating, I'll second that.
Okay.
Do you have any further nominations for secretary? Have a motion to cease nominations? Motion by Commissioner Allen. Got a second?
What are we doing?
The 6 nominations for secretary.
Cease, yes.
Second by Linda. All in favor
There need
of
to be something today.
Commissioner Klontz being secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. I think that's done our organization. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from the previous solid waste committee meeting? I believe there are a couple of copies.
Table.
Yeah, there's a couple of copies on the table if you need to see them. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Glenda, and do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Alvis. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. All opposed likewise. All right, do we have any public comments? I don't see anybody.
We have no public.
Yeah, we have, other than a reporter, so. You got any questions? Okay.
Never says a word.
All right, Mr. Lilly, it's all yours.
Okay.
She's a little bit of a change from our last one, she Danny.
Sure.
She's a little bit of a change from our last reporter.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at work.
She could have put her legs on.
We'll start out with the commodities we sold over the past quarter. We sold one load of paper, it's 22 tons at $120 a ton, generated $2,660. We sold 3 loads of cardboard, total of 71.67 tons at $122.50 a ton, generated $8,779.57. And we sold 1 load of plastic, 12.8 tons at $120, generated $1,537.20 for a grand total of $11,455.34. We also sold quite a bit of metal to Morristown Iron Metal. I don't have those figures. I did have a conversation with them. They were considering raising our haul rate to help cover the cost to getting that metal to Morristown. After a little bit of discussion, he decided to not raise it, but to lower it. So, worked out pretty well.
Well,
Good for you.
I think he sat down with a pen and paper and did the math on it and figured they were actually doing better than he thought they were doing. We do have some issues at a couple of our stations where our loads are a bit light. So we need to have our convenience center operators kind of concentrate on trying to make sure that box is as full as possible before we call them to have that haul. What they do is they get towards the end of the week, towards Friday, and they're thinking, oh, if I don't get this thing empty, we're going to have no place to put the metal come Saturday. So sometimes they call it in when it's really not where it needs to be. But it's kind of a delicate balancing act because you want to make sure there's room for people to put their metal, you know, when they've taken the time to load it up and haul it to a convenience center. We want to make sure and try to accommodate them every chance we get. So, other business, let's talk about the trucks. We sold our 2 trucks at auction. Both of them had nearly 100,000 miles on them. They were 2022 Max. Had one sell for $180,000. And the other sold for $177,500. After auction fees and cleanup, that generated $334,200 to go back towards the purchase of new trucks. Eric already has the check. I mentioned it to him, and he says, "Yeah, I know, I got the check." So I didn't realize it had already come in. In fact, the guy who sent this to me, George Massey, didn't realize it either because he told me that it's probably going to go out Thursday or Friday. It's already here, so.
Is that about what we've been getting for those trucks?
Actually, last year we did a little bit better. The market's kind of normalizing. And George mentioned it today. He said, you know, had we sold them after this hurricane season, he said, you know, he didn't want to capitalize on it. He said, they probably would have brought a premium because everybody's trying to get as many trucks as they can to help with this cleanup. But I think for what they brought, with as many miles as they had on, there was 2024s that sold in the same auction with 37,000, 35,000 miles on them that sold for $15,000 or $20,000 more than we got. So we got the use of the truck for an extra 70,000 miles, and really we're starting to get to that point. We didn't really want to use them that long, but with COVID and the slowdown with Max production, we kind of were at their mercy when they could bring us new trucks, so. So that's it for the auction.
You said both of them had over 100,000 miles.
One had just under 100, like 96,000, the other had 100, and I think 3,000 or 4,000.
That's the best program we ever adopted.
Yeah, we are going to have to kind of consider only selling one truck coming up. Our spare truck is I believe it's a 2011, and it just eats money. Every time they start it, the hose blows off of the transmission. It's costing us a lot of money to maintain a spare truck. However, we need a spare truck. So
How many do we currently have, Brett?
we have 4 new trucks and 1 spare. So, yeah, the new trucks do well. As far as parts, I mean, we had to put brakes on one that we sent to auction because we did have it so long. The brake job on those things is, I believe it was around $3,500, so.
So basically, we just rotate 2 at a time.
Yeah, usually we rotate 2 at a time. But I think, like I said, going forward, at some point, we only need to send 1. I mean, that means we're gonna have to come up with the money, because we're not gonna have proceeds from an auction to help offset the cost of the truck. Other business, met with Joe Parrott on the new property at, I was gonna say 113, but Highway 66. And he's provided us with a proposal, an engineering service agreement. Here, I've got copies of it.
While he's handing that out, I want to let the committee know that Mark, John, and I, we sat down on a Zoom call with the engineering department at UT, hoping that we could probably get an engineer or a service provided by their senior engineer students, you know, at pretty good discount for the county. And unfortunately, they do more of, I guess, Mark, how would you describe a small grant opportunity?
Well, yeah, they would do it, she would work it into the schedule. But the way they do it is, they look at it one quarter and then they design it the next, and they're like 2 or 3 quarters out before you get anything back from them. And we don't have the time to devote to this project like that.
And we would still need an engineer.
Right.
That does not replace the need of an engineer, it just kind of helps. If you just needed something to have in place to apply for a grant, so. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out, but we got other opportunities here, so.
So, Brett, really, civil engineering, is that $24,000?
Well, that's for both phases. I talked to Joe Parrott about if we only develop 2 acres or half of the property, that fee would go to $18,500. And the surveying, it actually came back at $3,000. I'd asked Joe to have the surveyor send that directly to us rather than bill it through him. So it ended up saving us about $500. I met with the mayor yesterday concerning the fees because I'm not familiar with them. I don't know if these are decent or not, but he said, I think, Mark, you did kind of felt like they were in line with all the
Well,
other
you know,
things.
everything's going up. The hard part to deal with is you're always going to be faced with more and more charges on things like this. I mean, we had, what's there, $13,000 as a bid to just renew our license for stormwater for this
Yes,
year.
yes.
$13,000 to fill out a few pieces of paper. And we just looked at it and shook our heads, and because Sarah said, look, if we give this to them, they don't know anything about it. They're just gonna call her and ask her the questions and put it on the paper. So Sarah and the woman from
CTAS.
CTAS worked on it back and forth over the phone, and CTAS accepted it. Cost us nothing. So Sarah saved us $13,000 right there. And that's just for filling out paperwork. That's not for going out in the field and doing anything like this one is.
Right, so basically what this does is they will design the property, make sure that we have all the permits that we need. And there has to be surveys that are required for permitting. And the stakeout surveying for construction is actually the design of the property. Now, I walked it with Mr. Parrott, and in my opinion, 2 acres is more than enough. I don't know that we need to develop, I definitely don't think we need to develop the entire property at this point. I mean, I think, but if you want to go ahead and get the permits in place and have the permits from TDOT and everyone else, and have the surveys all done, that would be the $24,500 that would be for the entire property. With $18,500 would be just for the 2 acres. And the 2 acres that we kind of decided on was the property right next to Old Highway 66. So we'd be able to pull right off of 66 onto the property, and then exit on where the 1-lane bridge is, exit there, and there's more than enough room inside the property to have several cars, so there shouldn't be any sort of congestion issues or anything like that. And no, there won't be anybody sitting on 66 waiting to turn in. There'll be plenty of room to get people into the property and off the road, so they're not going to be in danger or stopping traffic or doing anything like that. So I just wanted to bring that. I have a meeting tomorrow with the person who does grade work to try to give me some sort of estimate what we're looking at to get it graded. My idea, and through Sarah's help, was to get the grade work done, kind of do it in pieces. Get the grade work done, then decide, get fence work done and roads and concrete pads all in sections. That way we don't have to combine everything and then throw it out into this massive bid. We still may end up in bid situations at some point, but I don't know, depending on the levels, if we need to do that or not. So,
All right, wouldn't this have been part of Parrott's job to have done that?
to do what?
To get to what it's gonna cost to grade it and level it and so forth? Shouldn't that be in this $18,000?
That's just a civil engineering thing.
All right, what does that consist of?
That consists of the site plan, the grading and erosion control plan, notice of intent, supporting documents containing notice of coverage from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, site visits before and after construction, highway entrance permits, supporting documents, Tennessee Department of Transportation, bidding and document preparation.
Have we ever had to do this before?
Anytime we disturb more than an acre of land, we have to have a civil.
TDEC has to give you a.
Right.
That's probably where we made our first mistake, was buying those 2 acres when it's not needed. And I think I supported it. But what, the current land or convenience centers, where's the biggest one at? Carter's Valley, maybe?
No.
Waters?
From Durham,
And it's on what, half acre, 16?
I don't know. We've got another chunk of land that we bought out behind Durham that's never been developed.
I know, I was here.
So are you asking us today to vote on this service agreement engineering?
I'm just bringing it before you for discussion. I don't know what we need to do. I know we need to start moving. We're in October and we got through July to get done, so.
Well, I know Mr. Parrott and his brothers, I knew his father, of course, was county commissioner, and his grandparents. They lived next to me out in Rock Hill, so I think he's capable of doing the job. And I would recommend that to other commissioners that to vote for that, if that's what you and the mayor want us to do.
John, did you say this 24.5, that's for the full 4 acres?
That's for the full 4 acres,
And then how much was it again for only the 2?
18.5. I don't know that,
I thought the total was 2 acres.
total 4 acres.
Total's 4.
So how do we decide on,
Well, it wouldn't get any cheaper if we waited 5 years down the line, so.
how do we decide on the 2 acres closer to 66? And that needs to be a lot of excavation done.
Had to do with the acreage up on the other end toward Kingsport, or not Kingsport, East Tennessee Iron and Metal. Had a lot more undulation in it, and we'll probably end up having to bring dirt in.
We got dirt on the other 2 acres, we could push over.
Well, I don't know that we've got enough.
So what are you recommending us to do? Do 2 acres or?
I recommend 2 acres, and then it may be 20, 25, 30 years before we have to develop the other 2, if you ever do develop the other 2. You may end up, it's already it's surveyed, so it could, East Tennessee Iron Metal may be interested in that 2 acres at some point. I don't know.
What excavation company are you meeting with?
I'm meeting with Icon Environmental tomorrow.
Have you reached out to anybody else?
No, I'm just trying to get an idea of what we're looking at.
Even if we have to put out a bid for it, he's gonna have to have some sort of specs put in the bid. So, the gentleman with Icon, remember, he's the one that's doing the tire recycling up on the highway.
Yeah, I've considered, I can't think of his name now. Well, Shane's, and then whoever owns Quest. What's his name? Simon. I mean, I'm sure they're more than capable of doing the work as well.
So that was Joe's, I'm just trying to think of the layout in that area. Coming off the old highway onto a 1-lane road that people, you had to wait until their car comes underneath the bridge. Was that Joe's recommendation?
Yeah, I think like I said, there'll be enough room on the property for people. I don't think you're gonna have any sort of congestion there. And the entire time we were there, I didn't see a single car go through that bridge. So, and I was there for about an hour. They'll be able to exit, hit the stop sign, and then turn. The line of sight is really, really good at that point. Either way up 66, so, and the line of sight where we would turn in off of 66 was also very good. So there shouldn't be any sort of danger issues in my mind.
Have we got any other estimates from any other engineering services?
No.
Did nobody just respond, or?
We just asked him to reach out to Joe and see what he had to say. These tend to be the lesser expensive of about all of them that we get. I mean, we can certainly, and just keep in mind, the further we kick this can down the road, the closer we are to having to deal with where we are for another year.
And also, Mr. Palmer, if we send out RFQs for engineering firms, we can't ask for costs. They can't tell us what they will charge. After we select a firm, they'll send us a contract, sort of like Joe already has. And if we're not in agreement with it, we pass that along and then go to the next.
So in July, when the committee asked Mr. Louis to send out RFQs, we didn't have any responses.
We didn't send it.
We didn't send out any RFQs.
In our meetings, we asked them to.
Well, I guess we took that as a, let's check with engineers.
These meetings are kind of useless then, aren't they?
I was under the impression we'd be sending out RFQs.
Oh, we can do that still.
What would be the pleasure of the committee regarding this right now?
Send them out.
Pardon?
Send them out.
Up to RFQs. Now keep in mind, we do have to be another quarter before we can meet again. And we are up against the deadline.
Can you have a special call meeting?
We can, once we get RFQ back, if the committee want me to call a special meeting.
Yes, that's what we should do. We don't just spend $24,500
I
or
agree.
$18,500.
I agree.
And I've never heard of not getting a price back.
I wasn't 100% on buying the property, but since we've got it, I'm 100% behind it. And I don't think, Mr. Parrott, I believe, is qualified to do this work. And I don't believe if we wait 6 months, that we're gonna get anybody cheaper than what he's outlined here. I know he's honest.
Well, I don't think it's about honesty. I trust his honesty, but I will also believe in doing the right thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't believe that we're doing the taxpayers any favor, but just saying, come on in.
Especially since we've already approved it in July.
That's right.
Mr. Trent, are you putting that in the form of a motion?
I am.
I got a motion by Commissioner Trent to send out RFQs for other engineering services opportunity to respond. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Mrs. Davis, will you do a roll call vote on this, please?
Danny Elvis,
Yes.
Sybil Von Trent,
Yes.
Linda Davis,
Yes.
Larry Quantz,
Yes.
and Robbie Palmer.
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
May I change that to abstain, please?
And can I ask who the second was on that? Sorry, I was running the motion.
Ms. Davis.
Davis.
Commissioner Collins wants to abstain.
Yes,
Okay.
got that.
That is a lot of money. How long, Mayor, do you think it'll take to get a response back if they're sent out tomorrow?
Well, we'll have to formulate a list of engineers, which will take us a little while. If we can get them sent out tomorrow or Monday, I mean, we can put whatever deadline we want to on it, 10 days, and have them come back in that length of time. We're looking at 2 weeks or maybe a little longer.
Do we want to go ahead and set a special call meeting and have RFQ back by?
I think you said when we get them back after the
We'll
meeting.
go ahead and set one. That way we have RFQ back by a certain date.
Yes. We do want to know then.
Is there a timeline that she's required to have to give them? I'm not sure of the purchasing requirements.
I'm not sure
If they're
either.
gonna set a meeting, we need to make sure.
Let me text her and see if she's.
That pushes it, especially when them kids remember.
You say you're checking on that timeline, Mark?
Yep.
Okay.
It may November, probably 10 days, 10.
Well, 2 weeks is the 23rd. I can do the 25th of October.
I cannot, but that's
I could do
okay.
the 25th of October.
What, Mr. Trent?
I cannot, but that's okay.
What day would work for you?
21st or 22nd.
I can do the 22nd.
Let me check my schedule.
I don't know if that'll be enough time.
You don't think so?
I don't think it will be.
Let me-
We're closed Monday too, so Monday's a holiday.
Mr. Trent, can you do, what about November 1st?
Yes,
Can you do November 1st?
I just can't do the 23rd, 24th, or 25th.
But you,
Yeah, I may be about 15 minutes late because I've already promised somebody to work for me. It's at Cherokee. It can
we
be,
can pick you up when you come in. If that's okay for you, we can pick you up.
okay, okay.
Mr. Klons, can you do November the 1st?
What I do now, I don't have a calendar in front of me.
Your calendar free then?
Yeah, I'm free that day.
Well, do we want to go ahead and have the RFQ back by November the 1st and have a special call meeting? Is that something you think we can do, Sarah and Mark?
Well, I'm
It
still waiting.
depends on what the
I'm still waiting on Michelle to
purchasing
tell me.
requirements are. Those RFQs are a little complicated.
It'd be 1, 2, 3, almost 4 weeks.
She's gonna look, not that she's aware of, but she's gonna look.
Now, the RFQ doesn't come back with numbers at the time.
No, it
No,
does
you
not.
can't have numbers
So,
in
I
it.
don't know how much that's gonna,
So what would happen then, you would select who you think would be the best qualified, and then
So they can't give us an estimate like Joe
No.
they
did?
cannot, they
No,
Well,
cannot,
how did Joe give us one then?
well, it wasn't
it
an
wasn't her
RFQ.
RFQ response. That's part of the reason, you know, it may have been in the minutes that y'all requested RFQs, but we wanted to move it forward.
So we already have done that and we did not get a response. My hearing.
We have not.
They did not do it.
I apologize, I don't have a hearing aid with me.
well, and the reason we did not was, first of all, we held off to meet with UT.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not trying to sound rude. I did ask, so let's go ahead and have this meeting with UT and still send out the RFQs, that way we have other stuff to talk about.
Well, I may have been well said, but I guess I was kind of following the mayor's direction.
Well, the
That's all right.
minutes-
Throw me under the bus, John, that's fine.
I don't mean that bad. I mean, we talked about it. and-
Yeah.
Those minutes several points, is what you said.
The minutes say Commissioner Kern made a motion to give John Lilly the permission to send over RFQs to hire as engineer to lay out plans for the center. And Commissioner Gill seconded. I asked for a roll call vote. Yes for everybody.
I'm not real sure that we knew what we were talking about with RFQs, but we'll follow whatever y'all want to do.
Is there any way we can ask, when we send out these RFQs,
No.
if they can give us an estimate?
Nope.
So this is if Joe said, here's what I can do it for,
Yeah.
unofficially.
Yeah, but it's not, his is not a response to an RFQ. His is the response from a request from Director Lilly to tell us what you take to do the engineering for this.
We can wait on that same question.
And I'm like Commissioner Clontz, and you know, I could be totally wrong. But if we spend the time getting RFQs, and then getting the estimates from whatever RFQ we picked, it's gonna be considerably higher than Joe Parrott's. And we're gonna waste another $50 a member on a special call meeting. But hey, that's your all's decision.
Well, it's just frustrating because we asked for this to be done back in July. So, I just don't see how we can get all these other engineering services, get quotes from them for all these other projects, and now all of a sudden we can't get a quote for this project.
RFQs, like when we did the RFQs for the airport, we didn't get any prices because RFQ is a request for qualifications. It's not a request for a quote for a job. It's a request for qualifications. Are you qualified to do this? I'm just explaining what it is. It was the same thing at the park. You know, we did RFQs at the park and we didn't get any quotes back to build the bridge there. We just got requests for qualifications. We just had to pick a firm that we thought would do the best job. After we picked that firm, then they said, this is what it's going to cost. So we even kind of had to negotiate that as well. And there's a little room to negotiate as we did at the airport one. So we sat down with the people we selected and we said, you know, let's negotiate this price, and then they negotiated. But
there's a difference in selecting the one that you're going to award the job to on, let's say it's grant money, especially if it's federal grant money. They've got you like this. I mean, on the airport, we had put a committee together to review the RFQs. And, you know, it took a long time to get that one done. But, you know, and this is solid waste general fund money. It's our money. We don't have to even follow bid, well, we would have to follow bid rule, but you don't have to do that on engineering either. Usually if it's over $25,000, you have to bid it out. But if you feel like this is the best engineering firm to do it, they're local, they can visit it, etc., then we don't have to even do bids on the job.
Well, I definitely don't want to waste time that we don't need to waste. But also, I'm disappointed that we did not already have this information in front of us. Because we do have a deadline coming up.
I'll be honest, I don't recall, it probably was, and I was just focused on something else, but I don't recall the term RFQ being used. I kind of thought it was, let John go out and talk to people and see what kind of bids we can get.
Well, I'm done looking up, we're not going to point fingers anymore. I think we just need to move forward with this project because we do have a lease that expires middle of summer of next year. So, I trust Commissioner Clons's judgment.
My notes last meeting were this, and I don't take good notes, I apologize. Motion to move ahead to get an engineer firm by notifying them that we will be accepting bids. We're not at that stage, are we?
That's not RFQ,
Oh, okay.
that's accepting bids.
Right.
But we don't have to accept bids.
I mean, that's all I got to.
I trust Commissioner Clons's judgment. I mean, this is only a hard number. I'll support whatever the committee does. I'll support whatever the committee decides.
You have to.
If we're not going to get bids, if we're not going to have any hard numbers to work with until we choose an engineering firm, then there's no need to have another special call meeting.
Right.
Because we're going to sit here and just talk about, well, I know this person, I don't know this person, I've seen their work, I haven't seen theirs, so.
And even if you choose an engineering firm from one of the RFQs, you have to ask them for an estimate. And then that's another turnaround time to get that. If you don't like it, then you have to go down to the next one on the list and ask them. This government stuff turns kind of slow, and it may seem like we're trying to, hoodoo somebody. I've heard that term used, but we're not. We're not. We're trying to get the project done in the time we've allotted. And I know Joe Parrott, and that doesn't have any bearing on it. In fact, I know he can do the job, but I don't know, personally wise, I don't know that I'd pick him. Because he'll be in my office 3 times a day for the rest of the project. But that's okay. We'll deal with that. Don't put that in.
Well, we've approved the motion to send out RFQs. I guess we'd have to rescind that motion if the committee wishes to do so, and then decide on what we do have in front of us. That's up to the committee members to decide if they want to make that motion to rescind it.
Does the person that made the motion have to rescind it?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Do what you want to, that's what you do anyway.
It's your motion.
I thought it was Silver. Whose motion was it?
Mr. Trent's. Second by Ms. Davis.
My comment was, do what you want to, that's what you do anyway.
No, that's not true, Mr. Trent. You're a member of this committee, you're a valued member, your voice is heard.
Yeah.
You've been to 2 committee meetings.
The bottom line is, we don't have a whole lot of time to do anything.
Right.
And another point I was thinking a few minutes ago, with all the devastation in adjoining counties, and even in Tennessee and North Carolina, it may be a hard chore to get somebody to do the work over there.
Yeah, and you think about, here it is October, and when they start it, they may deal with weather issues, snow and ice and all that kind of stuff. I'm not, you all do what needs to be done. I'm not pushing it one way or another.
May I ask a question? Is an engineer needed for this project?
I would think so, with the land maze sort of rolling.
Excavators,
I think, well.
How much of this
what I
work could you
understand-
do, John?
What's that?
How much of this work could you handle? You can't say, let's design it look like this.
Oh, you know about
Let's
design?
let's grade it to look like this.
Oh, it has to, well,
Who laid out Buren? We bought Buren property, we put a convenience center out there. Who laid that out? Mr. Alice, was you on the committee then? Was there an engineering firm that laid that out, or?
I was on this committee when we bought the adjoining property behind it. We still own it today, we've never used it. Am I correct, John?
yes.
We had adjoining property on Buren.
Yes.
Oh, on Buren. But not on, I was thinking 113, sorry.
Did we have anybody lay out 113?
Well, from my understanding was that once you disturb a certain amount of land, you are pretty much required to have an engineer.
One
You're not
acre.
required to have an engineer. If you disturb an acre or more, you're required to get a T-deck permit. Now, T-deck may require plans, and then we may have to get an engineer to draw the plans up. But other than that, if we could figure out if estimates are going to be below the bid rate, which the fence probably would not, then there wouldn't be any bid documents, but.
And TDEC's gonna want to know about drainage particularly because it's a refuse place.
You may have to have an engineer.
But TDEC may also rely on Jim Riley's decision on how the stormwater's gonna flow. There are probably ways we could attempt to do it in-house. But when I say that, and I say we're short on personnel already, and I'm gonna be out for, I don't know how long, having a back operation on Tuesday.
Well, John, looking at this civil engineering, what's required, what they would be providing,
This coming Tuesday.
the site plan, we as a committee could lay out a site. Like, here's where we want this, here's where we want this. Grading and erosion control plan, is that something that you can do, that, I mean,
I don't know anything about
what, notice of intent, supporting document to obtain notice of coverage from TDEX, entrance permits, is that something that you've done before, that Danny Jones has done? I don't know.
I bet Danny's done it. I mean, it's a T-Dot permit to cut another entry onto the road. Danny's probably aware of what needs to be done.
I think having an engineer would be they're gonna take care of things that none of us know either A, how to do, or what's involved. I don't feel confident moving forward without an engineer that's done the documentation before.
Then we should leave it up to Mr. Take his name.
Fair.
No, him.
Literally.
Mr. Miller,
No, he
I drew
doesn't,
it
he's not
away.
qualified.
I
all
don't think
this.
we need to put the burden on him. That's not right, not fair.
I'll say this, Mr. Parrott, on this building right across the street here on the east side, he drew up plans for a drainage system on that side of the building, and he did do that for my wife. And, of course, I know he did an excellent job. It wasn't a big job or anything, but it was, you know.
He did the bridge
had
on
more
Armstrong
than
Road for Rogersville.
The bridge out here on Armstrong Road.
Yeah,
Back here.
from Locust to Broadway.
Well,
It was
if we
closed for
won't
what
use
seemed
them,
like forever.
am I correct? If we won't use them, shouldn't you need to rescind?
I do, I do,
You make a motion to rescind it.
I will.
All right, do I have a second for
I
that?
agree with it, I will.
Thanks.
Not everybody like. I think it's included.
Do we have a second?
I'll second her.
Second by Commissioner Alvis. All in favor of sending Commissioner Trent's original motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, so back to the original. So now we've got a decision about using Joe Parrott as the engineer service, for engineering services. What's the pleasure of the committee regarding that?
On the discussion on that, Chairman. If we do this, what's the timeline on having that up and using it, Mark?
That's a good guess, Danny. I don't really know because I'm not in that business, but I mean, Joe should have us some plans fairly quickly. And then the matter is just to, get some equipment to move some dirt. And get the drones in there to do the GPS marking and all that kind of stuff. And I would think the longest part of it's going to be trying to get a road entry permit from TDOT, but Joe may know somebody over there to do that because he's worked with them. I would think we could have it up and running by early spring, but that's just my thoughts.
Of course, that's weather pending and.
Yeah.
But by the latest, before our.
Before the contract's up. Certainly, I would think so, yeah. Well, I mean, we're not involved in a whole lot of different contractors and things like that. Fairly simple thing to flatten it out, put some gravel down, pour some concrete, put some compactors on it, get the shed built, put the fence around it, and open her up.
we still need a motion if we're gonna move forward with this, or talk about it again next quarter.
Did you ask for a motion?
About next quarter.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion that we, let Mr. Joe Parrott do the engineering service agreement here that he's presented to us, under the timeline, because of under the timeline restraints that we have to get this, up and running. I'll make a motion that we, let Joe Parrott.
You probably need to add in there, Commissioner Clontz, that what he's presented, we're gonna use half of the property, so the cost will be,
Yes.
yeah.
Is that something we can talk to, so using only half of it, he's only come off $6,000.
You know, it's just still got all the surveying, all of that stuff still has to be done, whether it's 2 acres or 4.
I wished he could have been in attendance today.
Yeah. I'm not talking about a name, but that would have been good. And you all could call another meeting and talk to him, that's fine.
Well, we've got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Clontz to select Joe Parrott for use of the half of the 2 acres of the 4. Do I have a second?
I'll second Commissioner Clontz.
Second by Commissioner Alice, and now this is open for discussion specific based on his presented agreement.
I think we've already discussed it,
Yeah.
you know,
Roundabout way.
in a roundabout way, we've already discussed everything.
Who seconded that? You?
Lighten up, John.
I would like to,
Smile.
I would like to meet with other people besides just Icon Environmental. I think, you know, we got people in this county that qualified to do that excavation job, that competition's good. And I think if,
Oh, I agree totally. I just, I guess the intent of my meeting tomorrow is just to get a rough idea of what it's gonna cost and whether we've got to go out to bid or not.
And what it's gonna take to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not contracting with Icon, he's just asking questions.
I'm asking him for, and I don't want him necessarily give me his bid number. I want him to give me a rough estimate. I mean, so we can decide what we need to do next.
all right, if there's no further discussion regarding this agreement, Ms. Davis, will you do roll call vote, please?
Can I read this motion back to you
Yeah.
as I've understood it? Motion to accept the proposal from Joe Parrott Engineering for the development of 2 acres for the new convenience center location.
Well, I understand.
Does that include everything?
Everything that he presented
Okay.
in his agreement. Is that correct, Mr. Clontz?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Alice, that's the way you understand it too? Did you second
You
it?
want to put you got the address for the location?
That's good. The new convenience center location will be enough. I just wanted to make sure I had everything you wanted in there.
Okay.
Okay, Larry Klontz?
We voting?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Robbie Palmer?
Yes.
Linda Davis?
Yes,
Danny Alves?
Yes.
And Sybil Von Trent?
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.
I just got a response from Michelle that there is no requirement that she can find a certain number of days on returning RFQs. I mean, it's another one of those things that the state says probably reasonable time, which is public notice is reasonable time. What's reasonable? I don't know. Might be 5 for you, 5 days for you, 10 for somebody else, but there's no requirement on returning RFQs in a certain amount of time.
All right, well, move on to other business. Is there any other business that need to come before this committee regarding solid waste and recycling?
Are you gonna put the resolution together full body? Okay.
Seeing no other business, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Davis,
Church.
and a second. Is that you? All in favor, say aye. Thank you, guys.
Mark, before you're having your surgery done at,
The University of Tennessee at Knoxville. Dr. Todd G. Abel.
he finally get his license.